masters of speed. This is Formula One.
Hello there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from. It's Interlagos. It's another setup video. Should we go and do this? So, driving as Zane Maloney. 5 red lights. Let's go. Let's go and see what we can do today. I can hear some fighting behind. That's okay, that's what we love to see. Then further and further back. As always though, AI are absolutely rapid on the opening laps. Right, I'm going to need to be really careful with this corner. Understeer is a huge problem. And whilst when you come to the setup, I've tried to dial out as much of the understeer problems as I possibly can. It's just the nature of the beast. These F2 cars are extremely understeery, and unfortunately it's just something that we have to live with. No dramas. Such a short lap around Brazil. I think it's averaged like a 122, 123 lap. Obviously pushing flat out, you can easily get into the low 121s. Obviously it's just 125 because it's the opening lap. But that's okay. Center S's are absolutely fantastic in an F1 car, simply because the car just sticks to the road like a certain sticky stuff to a sticky thing. But like I said, I love Brazil. Just unfortunately I can never seem to get the circuit absolutely right. You lose so much time through this Sector 2 as it's a very, very mechanical grip part of the circuit where you need minimum brakes as possible. But you can absolutely throw it in and yeah, just drive away. Unfortunately though, understeer is a major flaw in these F2 cars. It's just a shame.
That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done.
If we didn't have the understeer, these cars would be really, really good. But understeer, unfortunately, is a major, major issue. And it's been the same since we did all the setups really, as Martin's just clatters into the side of me. It's just nice of him. But got enough downforce to really push it through turn 4, turn 5. And then send it again. But unfortunately the understeer is unreal. Obviously this has been Brazil. The setup is obviously coming next, and that's the part that everybody wants to see. Really hope it helps. Let me know what you think. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate you guys. And yeah, would love to hear from you. Take care.
A great win then for the Carlin team today. Davide, what do you think made the difference here?
The difference was in the strategy. Credit to the driver for sure, but races like this really drive home how much of a team sport this is. They did a lot of work on the pit wall to really make the most of his stint and to make the best use of these tires. But that said, all of that would have been for nothing without a talented hand on the wheel.
And there you have it, today's winners. Having raced some of the biggest names in F1 to date, Carlin have once again shown their expertise when it comes to recruiting new talent. No doubt today's winners have a bright future ahead of them. They certainly deserve it after today's performance. And now, Davide Valsecchi, let me ask you, who is your driver of the day?
Lots of drivers impressed me today, Alex. But if I have to say one that impressed me most, it's Zayn Maloney.
And after all that excitement, I think it's time for a lie down. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you when Formula 2 returns.
This is the Brazil setup then. So, I'm going with 27 on the front, 22 on the rear. If you run this setup and you feel you need a little bit more, because when tyre wear kicks in, it can feel a little bit loose on the rear. Take it up to 24, maybe 20. You could probably run 27, 25. No dramas at all. For this setup, I am running 27, 22. Feels great. Feels good. As I said, sometimes when tyre wear kicks in, especially, I think it's turn 6 is the right-hander up the hill. Obviously, you're going to have to be aware of understeer, because unfortunately, try as you might, you can very rarely take away all the understeer. These F2 cars are extremely understeery, really bad. And I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. If this is what F2 cars are like in real life, how they drive them is beyond me. Because the understeer is horrendous. But yeah, if you feel you need a little bit more, feel free to take the rear up. 27, 24, 27, 25. Yeah, it works perfectly. Absolutely fine. Any dramas, make the setup your own. The more you play around with the setup to make it your own, the faster and better you will become. On the transmission, 80-20, no dramas at all. Again, if you're finding that when you are putting throttle on and you need and you find your wheel spinning too much, drop it down to 60-40. No dramas. I wouldn't recommend going the other past 60-40, simply because you increase oversteer. But yeah, 60-40, 80-20, no dramas at all. For this setup though, I'm running 80-20. On the suspension geometry, this is what I've gone with. I've gone with a front camber of minus 2.5, which is fully right. I've gone one click on the left from the right, so it's minus 1.10. Obviously, if it's right, left, it was that. But yeah, I've gone with minus 1.0, 1.10. Front toe, I've left it alone, left it completely alone. And then the rear toe is 0.2. And that's it. That's it for that. Alright, the suspension, again, pretty stiff or firm on the old front suspension. Gone with 41-31. Works really well. There are a lot of high, low, and low speed corner, medium to low speed corners around Brazil. Like I said, turn 6 is extremely tricky, especially with understeer. The center S's as well, turn 1, turn 2. Yeah, look, understeer is the main issue, and it has been the main issue, I think, throughout the entire series of setups that I've done. Onto the front anti-roll bar, again I've gone with 9.3. It's quite soft compared to a lot of the setups that I've done, and that's because you need to quickly change directions in sector 1, really. Obviously the center S's, but yeah, gone with a ride height of 34, 37. Could go down to 33, but there is a curb at the end of the first DRS straight. You need to ride that curb, and I think if you go any lower than 33, you run the risk of bottoming out, and nobody wants to bottom out. So I've just left it at 34, 37 for this. But yeah, by all means, change it, make your own setup. Brakes, I've gone with the standard 56. You could run lower if you were better on the brakes. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't claim to be the fastest driver, don't claim to be the best driver. I do know a little bit about setups, and the little bit that I know, I'm absolutely sharing. And yeah, if it works for you guys, fantastic. Onto the tyres then. After I move that, onto the tyres then. Pretty much the lowest tyre pressures available to us. Obviously the lowest is 22.0 and 20.0, but for this I've gone with 22.2 on the front, and I've gone with 20.1 on the rear. Brazil is a short circuit where you're constantly flat out, changing of direction in sector 1 to the center S's. Tyres unfortunately do overheat, just like they would at Monaco, Hungary, Bahrain, Singapore. You know, it is what it is. It's just the nature of the circuit, and unfortunately you can run lower tire pressures if you want, but I found running the lowest tire pressures, even though overheating is still a problem sometimes, when the tire wear does get past 20%, for an example, sometimes the car just gives up, and if you put in too much load through the tires on minimum pressures, the car does have a tendency just to spin out. And yeah, believe me, I've been there, tried it, tested it, and that's what kind of happens. I found that it didn't happen on these tire pressures, but again, tire management is key, as well as understeer management. And that's been Brazil. Really hope it helps. Please do all that good stuff, like hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. For those of you who support me, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been Brazil. Hope it helps. I really do. Love to hear from you in the comments. Have a good one. Take care. Peace.